let's assume out of all the collaboration, you've done so many collaborations. Which is the most favorite, remembered collaborations?
No, it has to be Stewart Copeland, for sure. So Stewart Copeland
is the famous drummer.
For those of your audience who does not know him, he basically was the founder and drummer of the Police.
Yeah.
He's the one who auditioned Sting into the band, and said to be the greatest drummer in the history of music, and also composed 50 Hollywood movie soundtracks. One of the greatest legends ever in music. So what happened with that collaboration, and I'll probably take about a minute or two to explain about that. So I grew up with pictures of him on my wall, with his posters on my wall and all of that stuff. I absolutely loved that guy and loved his music and loved his style of drumming. And then what happened was that I wanted to make a follow-up to my 2015 Grammy Award-winning album, that is Winds of Samsara. But my touring schedule had become so relentless that I could not sit down in a very focused manner in the studio and actually create music. But the pandemic hit in 2020. So I was forced to stay indoors, and I started making the first pieces of music that would go on to becoming Divine Tides. And I made a couple of small pieces of music, and I thought I need a collaborator for this, because I need somebody to take this from this level to that level. And I thought, why not reach out to Stewart Copeland, you know? So I actually contacted Ralph Simon, a common friend of ours. And I asked Ralph that, Ralph, do you know Stewart? He's like, no, but I know his manager. So let's get in touch with him. So Ralph contacted the manager. Manager sent the pieces of music to Stewart. In a week, I got a call from Stewart. He's like, let's do this. And then I was like, wow. So that's the thing, you know, we talked about opportunities. If you don't take the opportunity, you're never going to know.
say that, you know, again, it's just one step you have to take. Correct. And you see it, yeah.
At the most, you'll get rejected, you know, but why fear rejection? So then we worked on the album for a year after that. It was one of the most enjoyable experience musically for me ever. It was like a masterclass for me. So up until then, I've always been in control of my music. You know, I'm the person who makes decisions. And of course, like, you know, there are times like the business people make decisions. But for me, I was the guy who was the creative person in charge. Now I've got a collaborator who's above me, you know, much above me. So what I decided that I'm going to stick to this rule, that if he asks me to do something, I will just do it. And even if I feel that it is completely wrong, that this is not going to work, even then I'm going to shut up and I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to live with it for 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, if I still feel that he's wrong, then I will voice my opinion. And during that entire 1 year, there must have been about 20 to 30 times where, you know, I felt that, oh, this is not going to work. What he's asking me to do is ridiculous. Or that drum line that he played, it's just not working. You know, let's do something else or whatever. But I would shut up and I would keep it for 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, I would be like, wow, I'm so lucky that I did not do what I wanted to do, because you start falling in love with your own ideas. And you start, you get so myopic with it, you know, that you just fall in love with your own ideas, that you don't look at things from a different perspective. But when you live with that perspective, you start realizing that that is the correct way to go. And that is the genius of Stewart. We became really close. We, you know, like an older brother, like a father figure to me, because he's got children who are older than me. We became really close, like hundreds of phone calls, hundreds of Zoom calls, messages every day, emails every day. That's how close we became. And then the album becomes very successful. Album goes all over the world. It goes #1 on radio, all of that stuff. And I've not even met him. And then we get nominated for a Grammy. And I've still not met him ever in person. That is the pandemic, right? And then 7 days before the Grammys, I go to Nashville because he's got a concert over there. And we thought that we'll catch up in Nashville and then go for the Grammys together. So I caught up with him. I watched his concert. And then I went to the after party, and over there for the first time, I actually, you know, hugged him, you know, like met him in person and hugged him. And, you know, I feel like crying right now when I'm even thinking about it, you know, but the thing is that like that hug was so beautiful, because it was almost like we've gone through that whole pandemic together, you know. And I was having a lot of personal problems during that time. And he was also like, you know, he was very important for me at that time. So yeah, so then we went for the Grammys, and, you know, and we even shared a room at the hotel, you know, when we were getting ready and all of that stuff. And then, as they say, the rest is history. So one more thing that I'll tell you, which you might find interesting, is that the Grammys, they have this thing that, you know, that when you win the award, in the past, you get 2 minutes to give an acceptance speech. So during the 2 minutes, if you've got 5 people in the band, all 5 people can talk, 2 people can talk, but at 2 minutes, they're going to shut off your mic and they're going to start playing the music. That year, they sent a memo to everybody saying that it's 45 seconds.
And only one person.
And only one person can talk. That's it. Only one person. If one person has talked for 15 seconds and a second person comes on, they're going to shut off the mic. So it's only one person. So I immediately throw Stewart, you have to talk. Stewart said, no, you have to talk.
I saw that speech.
Yeah. And then I told Stewart that, Stewart, it'll be better if you praise me rather than I praise myself. So it'll be, and you're the legend. So, you talk. So he said, all right. So we go up on stage. Now, of course, we were called out as the winners. It was an exhilarating experience. Both of us jumped up, went up on stage. And then he realized that the conductor of the orchestra was somebody he knew. The person who would play us off, stage. So basically he goes up on the mic, he gives a very quick, and if you see that on YouTube, like you've seen it, he gives a very quick joke, a drummer joke. And then he tells that, that this album is all about Ricky. So Ricky, come in front of the mic. And then he looks at the conductor and he tells him, don't you dare, And he tells me, and I'm not talking because I'm scared they'll start playing the music. And then Stewart says, Ricky, start speaking. So I start speaking and then I give the speech. And throughout the speech, you can see on the YouTube video, he's looking at, because I could not see him at that time. And I looked at the YouTube video, he's constantly looking at the conductor. He's like, don't start. And then I give my whole speech and then he looks at the conductor. He's like, okay, go ahead. And then we go out. So that is what legends are made of, that he could have easily taken that 45 seconds. He could have spoken, he could have done whatever he wanted. I wanted him to speak. But then he decided that there's this young guy over here, there is this guy who, I like a lot, he likes a lot, let him, let's give him his chance, to speak. So that's what it is.
It's a real experience.
I've just finished off I've just finished off my third album with him, finished recording it. So that album hopefully will come out by the end of this year.
We wish that gets a Grammy too.